Gutierrez called out John Anik for the custody battle thing on Twitter. He tweets, "It's interesting how John Anik brings up my custody battle, but doesn't discuss when he got caught cheating on his wife in 2017.
Oof.
So,
Ooh.
big oof. He deleted the tweet,
strange.
but damn, fucking brutal.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to the SmeshCast. It is Smesh Sunday. We are fresh off the fights. Kamaru Usman defending his welterweight crown against Gilbert Burns, becoming the first man to win 13 straight in the welterweight division, surpassing George St. Pierre for the all-time wins list in a row, of course, at welterweight in the UFC. And he is now undefeated. He's still undefeated with those 13 wins. It's crazy. Man,
He's undefeated. I thought he's got that one. He's got one.
Undefeated in the UFC.
Undefeated in the UFC. Is he one of those? Is he like one of those guys where it's like he lost his first fight and then just fucking tore it up ever since? I got peek over
that
there.
level, but close. Yeah, close. I mean, if he's on a 13 fight winning streak, he lost his sixth fight. He went 5-0, lost number 6, and it went 13-0 since then in the UFC.
What am I describing? Wasn't it fucking?
Or maybe less.
I'm thinking of someone specific. Was it Islam Makhachev who like lost his first fight and then went undefeated ever since? I don't fucking know. It's totally inconsequential.
I think I know who you're talking about. But for the record, it was his second ever fight he lost, and ever since then he's won. But you're thinking, I think, of Volkanovski maybe. Volkanovski.
That makes sense.
He lost his third fight ever, but it was at welterweight. Volkanovski went to welterweight for a fight, lost it. That's his only loss. And then similarly, Chris Cyborg lost her first ever fight and then didn't lose again until she lost to Amanda Nunes.
That's gnarly.
That's crazy.
Gnarly. But I guess on to the topic at hand here. I already got things off to a derailed start. Look at me go. Fuck. Who the fuck is gonna beat Usman?
I thought he was gonna lose. I thought he lost. He almost got knocked out.
Yeah.
Did you guys also get very strong vibes of that Cejudo versus Moraes fight? That first round, That first round was like one-sided, fucking brutal, taking a serious beating, and then just made the adjustments that he needed to make in the second and third to just fucking dominate.
Yeah,
exactly.
Granted, Usman, in terms of like making Usman, I don't even know if it's about making adjustments. I mean, like, he's really peppered in that jab, but like, he's just got such a mindset. When he says that he is like thinking about things and seeing things differently in there than other guys, I believe him. I believe him 100%.
I think there's something to be said about the way that things happened after he got hit. He got hurt real bad, and I thought he was about to get finished, and then Gilbert went for that head kick and fell. And Kamaru kept him down for about 2.5 or so, 3 minutes maybe.
Yeah, which is very smart.
And that was the only reason I think Kamaru was able to survive. And I just want to make a quick little point. Kamaru Usman has now 3 fights where people have, and now one of them, it doesn't count as much, but at least 2 fights where there are very, very, very real chance that he would have gotten finished, and a referee could have very reasonably made a different call that would have forced him to likely get finished. Mm-hmm. So the other major example of this is in the Damian Maia fight. Damian Maia had Kamaru Usman's back, and strangely they separated them, and they said, "Oh, Damian, you're not working enough," and they took him off of Kamaru's back, which you don't do, especially with a guy as dangerous as Damian Maia. And then Kamaru ended up finishing him. Right, so that's the first example. Then this one, tons of people could have said or could argue Herb should have stood them up. And if he had, Kamaru easily could have been finished by Gilbert. So I think it's a very, very interesting thing. And then you also go, the third example, not as strong, is in the Woodley fight. A lot of people got on Mark Goddard for not separating them in the clinch whenever Usman was working when he should have, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that was very smart of him just to stay there. Yeah, the strikes obviously weren't that effective, him just kicking him in the butt while Gilbert's on his back, but it was smart. He got enough recovery time and then just coming out in the second round. And like, you can see how, I mean, not only with the damage done, but you can see how strong his jab is. Like the way it moves, it's just a piston, and it's like shoots out and comes back in, and it's beautiful.
It's a step in jab. It's a step in jab, right? So he puts his whole body into it. It's not just one of those just kind of throw the arm. He steps
There's
his
a little more momentum to
110-pound frame into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's got such a stiff ass jab. But I think for me, that jab wasn't really doing the work until he had hurt Gilbert. At the start, I thought Gilbert was countering the jab. He was actually going hard with that overhand, and he was countering the jab pretty well. That's how he hurt Kamaru. But once Kamaru hit Gilbert with that 1-2, Gilbert just never found his senses. That was really the turning point for the entire fight. From that point forward, Gilbert was just recovering, and then every time he did get hit by a jab, especially with the stiffness, he was rocked by it because he was already hurt.
Really makes him that jab. That jab is really God. I was reading somewhere. I was doing a little bit of boning up on boxing because we got some big Jake Paul fight or something coming around the corner. So I better know my stuff.
Oh, the biggest star in boxing, of course.
But from what I understand, and it makes sense, when you give it some thought. But people say like that jab's like the most important punch. It's the fundamental punch.
Oh, of course.
That's like
controls the range.
Absolutely. Usman can completely not completely nullify, but really was able to make Burns think twice in the following rounds. About stepping in and starting those exchanges. I mean, because anyone doesn't want to get hit by a jab. Obviously, like it stings. It's it's uncomfortable. But Usman's jab is more than uncomfortable. It knocked him down. It
numerous times.
Yeah, it was the weapon that led to the finish. That thing is fucking deadly. It's like he really utilized that jab about as perfectly as he could have in that fight, and really perfect example of the importance of making sure you've got a strong jab. Huge GSP vibes, humongous GSP vibes, right there.
Yeah, and ironically, in the same division.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, the other thing that the jab does, other than of course hurt you, and accumulate damage over time, and just even though it's small hits, it's the easiest punch to hit. So of course you're going to accumulate damage over time. But more so than that, it interrupts your opponent's timing, right? As soon as they're about to get off a combo, they just get knocked back, and they have to reset. Every time they come close, they're about to start something, boop, reset. Right? It controls the range really well. It allows Kamaru to control the range. It also keeps something in Gilbert's face. And so when you have a hand in your face already, you don't see this right hand coming right after it, right? So all those things really change things up. The other thing that was really different, though, about his jab that they were mentioning on the broadcast, I don't know if you picked up on this, Noah or Adam, his jab, he switched stances. He was doing a jab with his typical hand. He was doing a power hand jab. That's and so this is a thing that some boxers actually do on purpose. There are some boxers who are taught to fight with their power hand as their lead hand instead of their power hand as their power shots. And obviously it makes it that your power shots don't have as much pop on them. But the advantage is that the jab with your most important shot is now stronger and now harder.
You're going to be throwing a lot more jabs than you're going to be throwing those power shots. So that's very interesting.
Bisping was actually a southpaw. Except he fought orthodox because when he initially started learning striking, he just followed the rest of the class. He copied what he was doing. But he was actually a natural southpaw when he went to go train with Perillo, Jason Perillo. He was like, immediately the very first punch he threw, he's like, "Oh, you're a southpaw. Great, we can work with that." That's why that left hook. That's why his lead left hook is so good. That's why he could knock out Rockhold with it. Because yes, it was a lead left hook, but it's his power hand.
Interesting. Just funny because you just brought him up. Sorry, just to cut in. Maybe we'll discuss this a little later. I don't know. Do you guys see anything about the Rockhold doing a little bit of a teaser as to his return?
Oh, I didn't, but we can talk about that.
We'll talk about that a little later. But he's posting some stuff on Instagram. Very interesting.
Very interesting.
I didn't see.
Yeah, that jab, especially with that power hand, is so much more effective than if it's with a not power hand.
Yeah.
This was just a top tier champ defense right here.
I have a question for you guys. In the post-fight interview, Kamaru said something about Gilbert knows me in the gym, but I'm a whole different animal in the cage. A lot was going into this about hey, who was winning these fights in the gym, who was winning these gym battles. Gilbert came on hard, almost knocked Kamaru out. Kamaru seemed really like. Do you guys think Gilbert was actually the guy that was winning these gym battles? Because I'm just thinking Kamaru being so intense, he seemed like he had something to prove. If he was the one winning all these gym battles, he wouldn't have to be so intense. He'd just be like, oh, whatever, I'm going to go and beat him like I always do. He seemed almost like he had to create a negative narrative to motivate himself to be able to beat this guy. And he also is a guy that changed gyms to get a different look at Trevor Whitman to really open up the striking. Do you think that that Kamaru actually closed the gap on Gilbert that existed beforehand? Or do you think that he was winning this all these times in the gym as well?
The way I see it, based on their fight last night, I don't know. I don't think it would be so clear in the gym, like one guy is dominant over the other. They seem like two guys where it's really like 6 out of 10 times Usman will win. 4 out of 10 times Burns will win, or maybe it could be as close as
I agree
50, as like 55-45. Like
I agree, but who's the 55?
That's what's hard to say. Honestly, if I'm guessing here, I bet that Burns is very effective inside the gym, especially given that, the most obvious thing, one of the most very interesting and I think pretty predictable is that Usman wanted nothing to do with him on the ground. He
obviously
was not prepared to jump into his guard, and Burns was like fucking taunting. He was like, "Let's go.
Yeah.
We know how this dance goes."
In like the very
the
short period that Usman threw a strike like into his guard. I mean, it was within like a millisecond that Gilbert was already like setting up a triangle. But by that time, I would say that by that time Kamaru had already stepped out. But I mean, you could tell he wanted nothing to do with him on the ground. But that being said, I think in talks of how things went down in the gym, it must have been competitive. I mean, you could tell in the fight too that it was very back and forth right off the bat. I think Kamaru kind of said that in his post-fight press conference that he kind of had to create a negative narrative. He was using a line that Gilbert wanted to take something from him, wanted to take the belt, and he had to sort of make it personal to
motivate himself. He always has
to motivate himself. Yeah, exactly.
Can I just to go back for a second to that exchange that they had with Burns on his back? Something that I noticed that I found it was very interesting. So during that whole little exchange where things kind of slowed down and they were both throwing leg kicks. First up, those leg kicks from Burns's back were very interesting. You don't really see people going back and forth like that. But in that,
Kamaru does it a lot, but yeah.
Despite being on his back, to me it still looked like Burns was in the dominant position there in a sense. He dominant in that he was not uncomfortable. He was fucking ready for him to come down to the ground. He was like, you try to throw anything at me, I will grab it and get you down here. But there was this moment where when Usman first started to throw the shots to the body when he was at the ground, first off, there,
nope.
Burns started to get a little more cautious there because those hurt. But something that really happened that really shows the levels that they're thinking at. As soon as Burns started, I was watching with my friend, and he was like, "Why the fuck doesn't he just get up? Why didn't he just fucking stand up and they start boxing again?" And the exact reason you could see, because the moment that Burns took the time to get up, Usman jumped on him. He missed, but he tried to hit him with that fucking huge shot to the head, which he would have been off balance trying to stand up. He might have gotten a knockout right there if he hit him with that. And he was so quick to it. As soon as he started, and Burns knew.
Of course.
Because Burns fucking dove backwards on his back and eventually was able to get up. But he knew the whole time, as soon as I stand up, he's coming at me.
No, but that's kind of obvious. But I just think he should have done it. He did it. He had to do it eventually, right? I think he kept looking over to her, being like, "Hey, are you going to stand this up?" And eventually he's like, "All right, I guess I got to get up." But if he had gotten up and tried to get up almost immediately, he could have knocked Usman out. Honestly,
it just shows how respectful they are of each other. That moment, you could really see the respect for each other. and you can see how just that experience they have with each other, where they do kind of know more, more than another fighter might know about, some guy they just watched tape of. Like, they know the next move.
Well, I think to be honest, that's kind of predictable in that specific scenario.
Well, no, it's kind of, but you have to give credit to Usman's fight IQ that, like, he didn't just like see blood and he was like, okay, I've been rocked. Now I have to, like since Gilbert's on his back right now, I have to enter and start, landing some ground and pound to sort of like settle the score.
I mean, I got to be honest. I agree that it was obviously the right move to not get on the ground, but I find it difficult to actually credit Usman with high fight IQ for knowing to not go on the ground with Gilbert Burns. Like, to me, it's like, hey, you've trained with this guy for 8 years. You got subbed with him every single time you ever went to the ground with him. Now you're in a real fight with him. It's like, to me, it's like, okay, he wasn't a total fucking dumbass. It's like, obviously you don't go to the ground. To me, it's like, to me, when I saw him go down like that, I'm like, okay, Usman's definitely not going to go down. He has no reason he would ever do that. It makes zero sense to me that he would. So I just don't want to even credit him for not doing it. I'm like, of course he wouldn't.
I think that we're kind of like saying this, and then you're kind of saying this, and we're kind of missing in between. Neither of them. They were both in a position where they could have made a big mistake in that, in Burns getting up too haphazardly and eating a fucking big shot while he's off balance. And Usman, taking these very safe and calculated shots to Burns while he's on the ground. They both were in a position where a lesser fighter probably would have jumped the gun and made a mistake. And we even did see Burns during this fight. He made the mistake of jumping the gun at times and getting overexcited and overambitious. And that's at the top, one of the best fighters in the world doing that. Lesser fighters, they might have made some serious mistakes down there.
I don't know. I think that
a very high level. It was a very low key, but a very high level. Like, you could see the cogs in their brain moving as they're thinking, like, if I do this, he's going to do this, so I need to be careful here.
I don't know.
They're both thinking that. It was very interesting.
I just feel like if Kamaru had gone to the ground with Gilbert, we wouldn't have been like, oh, wow, well, that's just what happened. And Gilbert,
nobody's saying that Kamaru was going to go down to the ground.
No. Let me finish. We would have said, Kamaru, you're a fucking, how stupid are you to go to the ground with Gilbert? We wouldn't be like, oh, okay, it happened, and then he got subbed. We would have been like, it's your fault. You knew what would have happened. You're so stupid. How could you have let that happen? No one's that dumb. So like, that's why I'm like, I don't want to praise him. It's like, it's so obvious that, but
I just don't think you see what I'm praising him for, because I don't think we're talking about the same thing here.
Anyway, regardless, good on both of them. They both played it smart, except for I still think Gilbert should have gotten up there. I don't think he should have relied on Herb standing it up, and I think that's what lost him in the fight ultimately. I do think that as well. The other big thing I saw out of Usman that was very different for Usman. Actually, two things. First of all, I noticed there was almost no clinch work. The guys did not fight in the clinch, and that's Usman's like wheelhouse. So clearly, he knew if he was in the clinch, he had a chance of being taken down and subbed.
And when they got there was one clinch exchange where Usman was throwing. So he it was very quick, but Usman, as always, threw some heat to the body from that clinch.
Yeah,
but no one end up in the clinch.
But it wasn't the clinch on the fence, right? It wasn't the held push against the fence, grind you out. Like, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, of course they got in the clinch for a second, but there wasn't any like real long, like Usman style fence grinding clinch work, right? That was very different. The second thing I've noticed out of him was the amount of leg kicks or kicking in general. He threw. He was not a kicker.
Oh yeah,
he was throwing a lot of kicks last night. So those are the things. I think the fence grinding is more of a opponent thing. He just doesn't want to do that against Burns. But I think that the leg kicks or the kicking in general is a Trevor Whitman thing.
Yeah, it's a very important addition to his game. It's crazy how up until now, I mean, like he's well-rounded, but he's not like as well-rounded as like he could be. And just the fact that he's seeing that level of success, despite only recently adding those kicks to his arsenal, is really, like, he's such a phenomenal fighter. You really do have to ask some serious questions about, like, where does he stack in a historic sense. And with his breaking his record last night, I mean, Dana did say it all, in his press conference. The people who know that last night was an important milestone, an important moment for him that absolutely improves his historic stock. I mean, I think Rowie, I think we spoke about this like a few weeks ago. Like, at what point do you, like, if you're willing to say like Adesanya is a GOAT, do you not have to say that Usman is the welterweight GOAT? Like, it's tough. Like, I honestly,
but we're getting there.
Yeah.
We see a future in it. For sure.
Like it, but it's more than. At what point do you stop saying this guy could be it, and this guy is it? I mean, he's breaking records now. This is is he the most does he have the most consecutive title defenses right now of any active champ?
Nunes. It has to be
Nunes. I'm thinking. Nunes.
Okay.
I was mostly thinking about the men's, which is
won't be Figueiredo. It's
sorry,
it's not Jan. It's not Volkanovski.
Izzy has
Khabib.
2.
Khabib only had 3, right?
Khabib has 3. Well, how much does Kamaru have? 3. This was his third, or
third? That was a third. Khabib and Kamaru both have 3.
Are we gonna? Oh yeah, if we're gonna say we're gonna keep Khabib up on the.
Izzy has 2. John Jones though had like 15. He just gave up his belt.
Yeah. Just currently active. I'm trying to think.
John Jones is currently active. He just gave up. He's just like, I don't need it.
I say I give for the same reason. I'm not really thinking of Khabib in this.
And then
because Khabib is not the champion anymore.
And then Stipe did have that one loss, but other than that one DC loss, Stipe has like 7.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has 5 defenses, 4 defenses.
I'm thinking currently active consecutive. We could talk all day about this.
Either way,
something we could
he's really, really, really impressive. I think we got to see who he fights in the future. Bless you. I really would love to see this Khamzat fight, but Khamzat, as we know, is out, and we'll talk about that afterwards. Of course, the Leon Edwards fight is interesting to see the second time around. I think the Wonderboy fight could be interesting, but I do think Wonderboy would just get ground out. If I'm being honest, I can't see him having the footwork to get away from Usman.
It would be after. I don't know. I mean, he has pretty fucking good footwork.
Gilbert Burns is the only guy I thought had a chance against Usman, and that was because Usman, as we saw, couldn't take him down, because if he does, he gets subbed. And as we know, the takedown threat is one of the things that makes someone striking so effective. So I thought that Usman basically was a striking only guy without the wrestling threat against Burns, and that's why Burns had a chance to beat him. Unfortunately, of course, Burns didn't, or not unfortunately. Burns couldn't figure it out, and I thought he had a chance to. He almost did, as we saw, but he didn't. I don't see anybody else, though, with that kind of submission threat that takes away Kamaru's wrestling.
Yeah, after last night, I mean, I don't see anybody within the welterweight rankings beating him.
Aside
from fuck is he, right?
He's going to get one punch knocked out. Watch this. Kamaru's going to get one punched.
We don't know what Khamzat's future will look like.
Burns couldn't take him down. Khamzat is not. How much more power can he have?
No, dude. Khamzat's Russian. It's different.
It's different. It's
just different.
Honestly, the toughest matchup that I think Usman could have right now, in terms of like the standing of the current welterweight ranking, I think GSP gives him the hardest match. Obviously, this fight never happens, but there's nobody currently in the division that even gives him a challenge. I think he's going to be dominant for quite a long while.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. We look at the top 5. I mean, we obviously Burns. We saw the Colby fight already. Leon got ground out. I mean,
Colby fight's a compelling rematch. To be fair, that's the closest.
I don't see Colby, but I don't see Colby actually knocking him out. Leon again. I don't see. I think he can win on points. I don't see Leon stopping him.
Let's see how Leon's next performance is.
Jorge is no chance
substantially over the year.
Wonderboy doesn't have the footwork yet to stay away from him. I don't think he has amazing takedown defense. I don't think he has a takedown defense for a Kamaru Usman. Chiesa can't grind him out. Woodley we know. Damian Maia we know. And then we're down to Neil Magny, no chance. Vicente Luque is not going to beat him. Jeff Neal's not going to beat him. We're going to have to Leach, Bilal Muhammad. Like,
people are going to need.
He's done. He can retire. There's nobody left for him.
And one thing I will say, but before I'm sad he's never going to go up to 185. He will only go to 185 if Israel leads. He will never fight Israel at the center, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, there's no reason to do that. No benefit.
Well, they're friends, the besties, they homies.
Yeah,
they Nigerian brethren.
Right on.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the co-main. Anything else to mention?
About this one, God, it was everything that we wanted in this. Anyone who wants to call Usman boring after this, I don't think you can reasonably say that. I don't think you can justifiably say that Usman is boring. You know what? Actually, I just jumped on to Colby Covington's Twitter. I wanted to see if he had anything funny to say because usually he has something funny to say, some kind of a taunt. Thought maybe he'd call him out and try to get a rematch. No, it's just to say it's just, man, he's really living in the past there, huh? I'm not going to go into any more specifics than that, but if you go on his Twitter, you can see what I mean when I say he's living in the past.
Anyway, co-main event, Barber and Grasso talk about living in the future. We have the future of the women's, 125-pound division or 135-pound division? I think
125.
25, yeah. The future of the 25-pound division, we have Alexa Grasso taking on Maycee Barber. Grasso with the beautiful, beautiful boxing. As we know, she's, I believe, Italian, right? Is she Italian? No. Yes? I believe she's
I'm not sure.
Wow.
Regardless, Alexa Grasso, she is Mexican. Sorry. Mexican, not Italian. Not even close. Well, Alexa Grasso, the Mexican boxer, she is very, very boxing style. She doesn't have a ton of kicks she doesn't have any kicks. She's really just stands there and Mexican style trades with you. Not very fleet of foot. Doesn't really dance around you. But she's got enough for Maycee Barber, Maycee Barber's got a lot of movement, a lot of head movement, a lot of jabs, a lot of footwork. But all of it happens when she's too far away to actually hit her opponents. Like, she does all this stuff, whatever. But Alexa Grasso is just standing there because she's not doing it anywhere where it actually threatens her. She's not doing it anywhere where Alexa's trying to hit her, so she's not dodging anything. And then as soon as she gets close enough, she stops doing it. So she looks like she's shadow boxing, wasting energy. And then she comes in, has some basic stuff. Grasso's got the cleaner, crisper boxing, catches her with the counters, and was able to win just by doing that. Maycee came on hard in the third, as you would like a young fighter to do. She shows she has heart. She knows how when she's down to come out and give yourself a chance to win. Didn't happen for her, but she fought correctly. But she doesn't quite have the skills yet to take on these higher level girls.
Yeah. Just more experience. It's all comes to.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can see she has potential for sure. I think she just needs some more tools in her toolbox, and some more experience in the octagon. But she's very young. I mean, I think she's like 22. She has years and years ahead of her. But yeah, Grasso fought a fantastic fight. I think she was ranked number 15. So, maybe she'll break into the top 10. I don't know how competitive she'll be once she breaks into that like top 5. But there are some good fights for her for sure.
Look, she's also very Grasso. Yeah, she's very raw, but she has a lot of potential still. I mean, those hands are so clean, they're so fast, they're so nice. It's just the footwork's got to come along, the ground game's got to come along. The ground game was coming along.
She
came out of
showed
nowhere.
some good.
Actually, she has progressed. It's just that she needs more footwork. She needs the feet to help those hands be threatening. And then she'll be a nightmare.
Just more experience, more time, more time spent training, more time spent fighting against, higher level opponents that are going to force her to, have to open up that arsenal. Because, at a certain point, you have to add these skills that you're neglecting to your game, or else you're not going to be able to move forward. You can ask our good friend up in heavyweight, Greg Hardy about that. You gotta add some more advanced skills to your repertoire before you move too high. So
old Gregorius Hardy,
not phenomenal, phenomenal fight, phenomenal co-main.
It was fun. It was good fun. Good time.
Yeah, it shows a lot of potential for both of them. Nobody's stock really went down all that much, I'd say. It's just Barber was the younger one, right? Yeah. Barber obviously, probably could use she's young. You don't want someone like that to take too much damage. It's kind of like a similar situation to Chase Hooper, where spend a little more time in the gym. I don't know if the UFC, you've got your whole 20s and 30s for the UFC.
Yeah.
So
she'll develop. She's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and she belongs in the UFC. She just has some development to do, and they'll be good. She'll just take her slow.
Absolutely, but phenomenal potential.
And actually, I will one more thing. I will say it's actually a good thing she lost, in my opinion, because she's been pushing that. Oh, I want to be the youngest champion ever, but even younger than John Jones, and she has until January to do so. And if she went against Valentina Shevchenko, she would wake up
in the hospital
asking what happened, right?
Yeah.
So
I
think that this is so having this nice loss where she didn't take any serious damage. She can slow herself down. She won't be put against these crazy beasts. She can take some longer times between fights, allow herself to develop more. Don't take on the highest competition. The UFC can focus on her development instead of focusing on, let's see if she can become the youngest champion ever. They can really focus on making her the future of that division once Valentina retires by developing her in the time that they have instead of rushing her through. Okay, well, in our featured bout of the night, we had Ian Heinisch taking on Kelvin Gastelum. Gastelum really potentially fighting for his job here, right? He's coming off a couple losses, a couple big setbacks. He had the one against the Joker, Jack Hermanson. He had a loss earlier. I forget who it was against before that. But he's coming off a bunch of
Darren Till. Yeah.
Darren Till, that's right. So yeah, he's coming off a couple losses. He hadn't won in I think 2 or 3 years, but fantastic win for him. I actually thought Heinisch had a really good chance coming into this. Heinisch is a good, strong power wrestler. But he doesn't seem to have the gas
specimen is what he is.
Yeah.
What a fucking tank.
Huge.
Yeah, he's a Yellow Romero in there. But he doesn't seem to have the gas tank. He doesn't seem to know how to quite mix it all together like Gastelum does. I think that was really the big difference maker, is that they're both really good on the feet. They're both really good striking. Gastelum just kind of mixed things up a bit better, had a bit better fight IQ. I think that was really the difference maker in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gastelum showed a lot of his those veteran skills that that you mentioned, and that they were talking a lot about that last night on the
for sure
commentary side of things. His wrestling was so sharp. So he was dumping Heinisch. He was getting him off the ground. Gastelum is so goddamn strong. He is a powerhouse. If he like everyone says, I mean, we're not treading any new water here, but if he could really get his improve his dedication and drop that weight and fucking get his diet on point, maybe smoke a little bit less of the devil's lettuce and get to a place where he's fighting at 170. God, his power, his frame, he'd be a fucking beast. And he was killing it in the boxing exchanges as well. He was I feel like if I'm remembering correctly, I feel like round 1 was a little he had some rougher times with Heinisch's boxing, and he was getting tagged up a little bit. But it seems like as
Heinisch had the dump. Heinisch had that energy dump right at the beginning, right?
Yeah,
blazing, and because that's what happens when you have that first big name guy.
Yeah, and you could hear how heavy he was breathing.
Oh my God.
It was extremely audible on the mic. The only thing, you could tell Kelvin was well in control during the entire fight. He had fantastic wrestling, but the only thing I was worried about was the flying knees that he Heinisch would accumulate a little bit of energy and then just toss a flying knee. And I would just,
is it just me, or do those flying knees, they looked like they were perfectly timed, perfectly placed, and only half thrown? It looked to me like he jumped 10 feet in the air, but for some reason his knee only went like that, like a 20-degree angle.
I hear ya. They did look weird. It looked like he was doing something weird. His stomach would fucking wiggle around.
Yeah, he didn't actually drive his knee up. He would jump up, his knee would bend, but it wasn't being driven up, right? He wasn't doing like a knee up. You know when you're standing on your feet, you just do like a knee to your chest? You should be doing that while you're jumping, and that's all that momentum. But he just jumped and bent his knee. If he had really driven that knee up, he should have knocked out Gastelum. And I think that was a difference maker when they were comparing it to the Sandhagen knockout. The Sandhagen knockout, he jumped.
Followed through. He followed through on that knee.
Was higher than his hip. If you do a flying knee and your knee ends up higher than your hip, that's how you know you followed through. Yeah, his knee wasn't even halfway to his hip.
he was just letting his knee kind of meet him halfway.
He wasn't
And
kneeing him.
I almost wonder if the problem is
jumping into
if
him
it's a
instead.
scenario where like he just kind of threw those flying knees because he saw the opportunity for it, but maybe he hadn't trained for them. Maybe
Or
he
no
hadn't
flexibility.
been drilling. It could have been a flexibility thing. I think maybe he's like not drilling these as much, and he just kind of saw his shot and went for it and wanted to get that big spectacular knockout, and just doesn't have like, the experience of just throwing those flying knees in the gym because that's a small but important adjustment. That had those flying knees really been drilled hard, that would be muscle memory. That would just be a part of the move. That's like throwing half a punch.
Yeah, I was gonna say the equivalent of this is like going like this, and it's turning your whole body.
Yeah.
Instead of actually turning into it, you're just.
It's like when your fist hits them, it's like you just stop instead of punching through them. You just boom.
It's like a tap. It's like tapping the gloves. Exactly.
Yeah. It was very weird. So I'm wondering, why he couldn't follow through on those, because it really seems like they, honest to God, didn't bother Kelvin like that.
Because he didn't throw them. Yeah. He jumped. He just jumped and hipped him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hip thrust to the face.
So basically, a lot of things that he's gonna have to, look back at that tape and make those adjustments.
And I gotta say, guys, I'm sure that there are hundreds of memes out there. And all respect to Ian Heinisch, but he looks like he's from the Goonies. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He looks like a bridge troll. I'm sorry.
He has a unique look for sure. He has he's got like that Forrest Gump hairstyle, which is always nice. His head kind of looks like a rock. It's like a boulder. He's a distinct looking fella. That's for certain. I'm glad to see Calvin get a W, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I'm very happy as well, because he's a great fighter and he's an extremely nice guy. In terms of what's next, I would like to see him against Cannonier. I don't think he has anybody that Cannonier's matched up with anybody right now. It probably makes sense to mash them both up.
That's not at all.
And
I think that's maybe not a bit too much of like a jump right now.
For who?
Cannonier's coming off a loss.
Yeah. What's Cannonier ranked right now?
Well, Cannonier just lost to Whitaker. Gastelum is a guy who clearly faces against the guys like Till, right? Like, I think it's fair.
Yeah. Sure. I'm happy either way.
I mean, look at who else do we have, right? Like in that middleweight division. I mean, we got Robert Whitaker, of course, Paulo Costa fighting each other. We got Jared Cannonier, what we just mentioned. Darren Till's on a win. Marvin Vettori's coming off of a win. Jack Hermanson,
they're both and they're fighting. Darren Till and Marvin are matched up.
Derek Brunson is matched up already.
When you read it out one after another like that.
Derek Brunson's matched up, right?
Yes, with I think so. Kevin Holland.
There you go.
And you know what? Hey, sure, why not? Fuck it, makes sense.
Or Uriah Hall, but I think Uriah Hall is facing Weidman, so it's done.
In a perfect world, I'd like to see what happens if you put Gastelum and Costa in the octagon together.
Ooh, here's another one. What if you did Gastelum against Edmund Shabazian?
What's Edmund's last fight is against Derek, right?
Is a loss against Brunson, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you bring Edmund down and give him a guy like an Omari Akhmedov or an Ian Heinisch or something?
Since Edmund's young, I would say probably match him up with Ian, since they're both coming off a loss.
Yeah, Ian fight could be good. Gerald Mearshart. Oof. Don't give that man Edmund Shabazian, please. All right, let's move on to the next fight. We had Ricky Simone taking on and dominating Brian Boom Kelleher. I mean, how the mighty have fallen. Boom Kelleher is this guy I had a lot of respect for. He usually throws down. He's got a nasty guillotine. And he had nothing really for Simone. He didn't threaten him anywhere. He was just being dominated on the feet, dominated on the ground, just through and through. It was all Simone all day long.
I think that cut fucked with him very badly. I think
that's true.
Totally
right off the bat,
his vision. Completely nullified his vision, and that nullifies his depth perception. And without being able to gauge that distance, like it's like the same as fighting with one leg. It's such a hindrance.
Even before that, he seemed hesitant.
I mean,
will say,
it happened with like very quick right off the bat in the first round.
yeah.
So
I mean, Ricky
Yeah,
Simone,
it was like almost the first exchange that materialized.
So that so there's two caveats to the statement. The first caveat is that it is said by Chael Sonnen, and so that it automatically has very little truth to it, most likely. Second is that it is, of course, a gym statement, which of course does not always translate to the fight octagon. However, Chael does say that Ricky Simone is one of the best fighters he's ever seen in the gym, maybe the best fighter he has ever seen in the gym. However, again, that is Chael Sonnen saying it, and again, that is talking about the gym. So the question is he actually, it could be that Simone's just this good, and he just dominated, boom. I mean, he had that loss to Uriah Faber, but Uriah Faber's Uriah. He caught him with that quick overhand right, and Simone maybe just got too aggressive. It was a bit too fast and let it hit him. I'm curious what the real upside of Ricky Simone is, or if this was just Kelleher not quite being up to that level.
I mean, he looked phenomenal. I mean, it was an exciting fight. I mean, I certainly remember last night thinking, like, this is the guy that I need to follow. This is a guy I need to follow up on this guy and make sure that I'm paying attention to his fights.
Real power there.
We need to see him take on like somebody ranked to really see, like, all right, where do you
he
deserve
took
to
on
be
Faber
right now? Like Kelleher, what did he win? 3 out of 4 last year, something like that. And like he's got, like, I remember him. I remember seeing this guy last year, and he was a beast. So I mean, you know, ranking or no ranking, this was to dominate a guy like that makes a really serious statement. So Simone, like, I'm gonna be keeping like a close eye on this guy, because he has potential. He has potential to be something else. And that's really what the UFC is trying to go for here with this. Getting rid of a lot of these old timers, or guys that are maybe a little more new, but they don't think immediately have crazy potential. They really are looking right now for their like next batch of guys that are going to be the big name, like somebody like a Simone, like a Holland, like these guys that are really getting built up. They're trying to ensure that one of them at least is going to be like the next Adesanya.
They're always doing that, right? They're always trying to find the next big guy, and that's why they're always trending young if they can, because get out with the older.
They'll accept less money.
No, but also they have higher future potential, right? They have more upside.
Sure. So it's a very exciting time, despite it also being a very sad time with them cutting a lot of really good folk. What did we lose? We lost Spike Carlisle, I think. Your boy Roey. Which is sad to see.
That's real sad. The Alpha Ginger's gone.
They it opens up some doors, and it's very exciting to think that any given fight, you could be seeing the first fight of the next big thing.
That's the thing that you can always see on all these regional cards and all these prelims. You never know who you're going to see. We also had Maki Pitolo fighting last night. He took a submission loss against none other than Julian Marquez, making his comeback after a couple years out. It was a good fight, back and forth.
Very back and forth.
It was really back and forth. Yeah, Pitolo almost beat Marquez a couple times. Marquez had an endless gas tank, and ended up submitting Pitolo with 43 seconds left. Big shots, and I don't know who would have won that. Could have gone either way, especially if Pitolo had put it on him in the last minute. He could have snuck away with it, but Marquez really finished off his job.
Marquez showed a lot of really strong, well-roundedness.
Back from a long injury too.
God, I'm watching the video of that choke again, and it is like as brutal as a choke comes. That was a really fun fight to watch. This whole card shocked me with how exciting it was. There was not every single fight from the early prelims up until the very end. Every single fight was exciting to watch.
I mean, there were a lot of dominations, actually, I found. a lot of dominant performances where like by the second round you weren't like, there were a few fights like the Gastelum fight, like this Ricky Simone fight, where by the second round you're like, all right, I know who's going to win. It's just watch another minute and a half of this same thing, or sorry, a round and a half of the same thing we saw for the first round and a half, and just wait for the inevitable to happen.
Problem with that? You don't like watching people get beaten up?
I don't actually always love the prolonged beating. Sometimes I'm like, oh my, like when it's really, really, really top level guys where it's like Khabib, like, oh my God, he's doing this to Dustin Poirier. This is crazy. That I enjoy. But like past about a round or so, I'm just like, all right, well, now what? I want to see something different. I want to see someone push back and change things up. I want to see him maybe try to build on what he did earlier. I don't want to see the same thing rinse and repeat necessarily. Or I get bored after 2 rounds of it. I get bored on the third round of it. But it's still entertaining. It's just
it's a little pretentious, don't you think?
No, it's just part of the fighting. Part of what I like about fighting is like I don't know what's gonna happen next. So if it's just like, all right, he's gonna do the exact same thing he's been doing. All right, cool, nice, very nice, nice, cool.
I'll tell you what, if you really like to not know what's coming next, not know what you're gonna see, I've got a very exciting event called Fight Circus. I can tell you all about it.
When's Fight Circus coming up? When's the next episode?
Oh God, Fight Circus is always in my heart, but in a more real sense, I don't know.
I don't know if it can happen during
I'm
COVID,
surprised that they were even allowed to do it in the first place. Twice.
Fight Circus 3.
Cool. But believe me, as soon as I hear, I'm gonna let
Saturday, August 20. Oh, never mind. It was on Fight.
You know what we should do? Next time Fight Circus is on, we should do a live SmeshCast, fucking live stream commentary.
Oh.
Boom! Do the big flying spin kick battle, 3 versus 1. God, it's like a fun event.
Yeah, I can't. There's fightcircus.com, but I don't think you can find another one. That's unfortunate.
It'll come around.
But the website that you do see it on has many videos that would not be appropriate for YouTube to mention. So I'm not going to
stream it on a porn site.
Yes, basically, yeah. Regardless, moving on, our final fight that I wanted to mention was the featured bout of the prelims, our prelims main event, if you will. That was Anthony Hernandez against Rodolfo Vieira. Now, a little bit of backstory. Rodolfo Vieira, coming into this fight, one of the greatest Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighters of all time. Like, literally top. This guy won Abu Dhabi 3 or 4 times. No one's better than Rodolfo Vieira, or very, very, very few people in the entire world are nearly as good as Rodolfo Vieira. This guy had about 3 minutes of cardio. As soon as those 3 minutes were up, it was over. And Anthony Hernandez was just, man, he was just laying it on him. He was put in there to lose, right? Rodolfo almost choked him out. Somehow, I don't know how Anthony survived, if I'm being completely honest. But then he was just beating up Rodolfo, and he just was taking it. He was so tired, he couldn't move his head out of the way. He'd rather take a huge head kick than try to block it. He was so tired, and ends up getting submitted by Anthony Hernandez. Oh my God! You know, by the way,
and a gnarly choke as well, like a very interesting technical.
It was like choke. A 40-1. It was like a 40 or something to 1 odds that he would choke him out.
Underdog.
Crazy, 40-1. He would get a choke specifically. If it to win by submission was like 40-1. It was insane.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm seeing a comment on Reddit saying that the odds for him to win by submission was 30-1.
There we go. That's what I was saying. I said 40-1, close enough. Insane.
Yep.
Fucking. So I didn't realize that was the level of hype behind him, that he just submitted one of the best of the best.
Like this is like better than Damian Maia. Like literally better than Damian Maia potentially.
You know what? It shows that really shows the kind of the difference between any one martial art and mixed martial arts. When you've got when you've got a phenomenal submission game, what does it mean when you're not used to taking shots while you're on the ground? What does it mean when you're not used to starting on your feet with someone trying to take your head off? Another good example of that is people, phenomenal boxers like Dustin Porier or like Gaethje was a textbook example, not being able to throw their punches against a guy like Khabib because you have to worry about the takedown threat. MMA is an entirely different beast, and you have to worry about so many different variables. We're so far past the specialist era of the UFC. You can't just be a specialist. You need to be phenomenally. Every single fighter on the roster right now would have kicked the fuck out of like every champion from like the 90s through like the mid 2000s. Like it's just a matter of the evolution of the game.
Yeah.
So that's I suppose that's what you see here.
It's crazy. I cannot overstate how good Rodolfo Vieira is. Like he's better than Damian, probably better than Damian Maia, definitely better than Gilbert Burns, definitely better. Like he's like a Ryan Hall, like that level. So yeah, just in fact, Rodolfo Vieira is like 35. Like he was just people were surprised when he even made his move into MMA because he was just so long in BJJ and so well known. So yeah, that was amazing, and it just shows, as you said, the difference between MMA and BJJ. And I guess you can't rest in MMA because in BJJ you can kind of hold on to him and rest and protect yourself from submissions. But here he's taking punches and submissions. He might have given up, to be honest. I don't think that he had to tap. I think if he really wanted to, he could have gotten out. But he was too tired. I think if he was fresh, he easily would have gotten out at the end of the day. But regardless, amazing work by Anthony Hernandez. Let's move into the news. So our biggest piece of news, absolutely without question.
Joe Rogan said testicles on live television. Let me ask you this. When's the last time you heard someone say the word testicles on TV? I don't think I've ever heard that. I don't think anybody that has ever said testicles on TV. Joe Rogan broke new ground yesterday, and I'm phenomenally excited about it. So
what does this mean for the future?
That's the news. That's the show, everyone. Seriously, what does this mean for broadcast television? We're getting. Oh my God! Yeah, I'm so happy about it. Testicles. As soon as I heard him say it, I was like, "Oh, this man just said." I could not fucking believe it.
The funniest part about that whole thing is he was like, "Oh yeah," he was saying that his testicles are out of the cup, and as soon as they say that, the camera jumps over to the guy. As he's adjusting his cup.
Yeah.
The guy, can you not get like a minute of privacy here? Like
that was good. That was a nice little bit of flavor between the commentary. You know, Joe doesn't have the best commentary as of late, although I think he actually stepped it up last night. Wasn't just yelling, "He's hurt!" Although he did that a couple of times.
That's not what I'm annoyed by. I'm annoyed that they
like the friendship, the fun friendship relationship between the commentators.
I like the chumminess, but my problem is when they get chummy during the fights and they start joking around or whatever and missing the entire fight. So I want them to make those jokes like when the testicle thing happened, right? Or that famous Joe Rogan ice thing, right? That's when you go into the chumminess, maybe between rounds, make some jokes. But when the fight is happening, I want to see them talking about the fight and not making jokes about whatever Joe's recent podcast episode, whatever the fuck.
Jesus, what do we got here? We have a fucking Rowie, or do we have fucking no nonsense?
He's stymied. Stymied is such a funny word, guys. Stymied. Oh my God!
But it was a funny word. It was a funny word.
All right.
No nonsense, Rowie over here.
No nonsense.
Speaking of nonsense, the UFC lightweight division is planning a Conor Porier 3. I understand why they would do it for money. I understand why Porier wants it. I understand why Conor wants it. But the division needs Dustin Porier to fight Charles Oliveira for the undisputed 155-pound championship. And then Gaethje, Chandler, move on. Let Conor take someone else. I don't give a shit. Oliveira against Porier is what we need. I don't like this stupid Conor Porier 3. We're going to do a little lightweight mini tournament to figure out who deserves to fight for the belt. No, we know who deserves to fight for the belt right now.
Yeah, you really just said it all there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Makes no goddamn sense. Stupid matchmaking, but, I mean, I'm not surprised. So I'm not really...
It's not stupid matchmaking. It's not stupid matchmaking. It's just like not the right matchmaking for the division, or not fair matchmaking necessarily. But it's not stupid. From the UFC perspective,
it's not stupid in that there's
matchmaking they can possibly
reason for it, but it's definitely not the it's not
ideal
a fair move to make. But I mean, fuck it, whatever. I'll still fucking watch it. Fine.
I will
I'll
watch
still
it. I just want better for
whatever.
Poirier, man. I want Poirier to be the undisputed king, and I'm just annoyed because now he's gonna have to fight Conor again to win it. Look, Poirier should already right now, as it stands, that last fight should be for the championship belt. He should have been for the belt. He should be a champion right now. So now you're telling me he has to fight
funny?
Conor again
care
to
more
earn
about
a
this than
shot.
Poirier does. Poirier doesn't seem to give a fuck about being champion.
Because Poirier wants the money. Poirier's like, I'm happy making $1 or $2 million on this Conor trilogy for my family. I just want him to be a champ because he should have been the champ after the last fight. Now he has to fight one more fight to get a chance to fight for the belt. So he's now 2 fights away for the belt still, and he should already be the champion. Title defenses for him, not fucking.
I wonder though, like it is almost a better move for him in terms of publicity to just do the trilogy with Conor. I mean, he could do. Now he's got a lot of momentum on his back, and the facts are the facts. And usually, when you win the second fight in the trilogy, you win the third as well.
That's true. Yeah.
So he can really leverage this next like year or so, or several months or so. Who knows how long it's going to be of hype, and maybe whereas he was a little. Not putting himself out there as much previously. Now, I mean, he's making the circuit. He was on Hot Ones recently, which everyone ought to watch that interview if you haven't. It's phenomenal. His profile is going up. So let's say the world turns back to normal over this year and we start, we get back to, business as usual. Poirier is in a great position to, do the talk show circuit, fucking get his, advertise his hot sauce, advertise himself. He has a lot of potential in the build up to this fight to be all over the damn place. And then he can become champ. So, like, at this point, I got no faith in the UFC to, make the right matches. So, give Poirier his payday because that's also important.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Like I said, no faith in the UFC to do the matchmaking. So why even bother getting invested in it? Just take the fights as they come and enjoy a good fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm a huge fan of Conor. I have a poster right here. That being said, I don't think he deserves to get.
I thought Eminem was your favorite fighter.
Who's winning the fight, Conor or Eminem?
Ooh, that is tough. With words, Eminem. With fists.
Actually, with words, maybe Conor.
Conor gets 5 minutes.
True.
Conor gets 5 minutes to fight Eminem, and then Eminem afterwards gets 5 minutes to fucking spit some bars at him.
Eminem
form a coherent sentence.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it actually matters who goes first because if Conor goes first, Eminem might not be able to go and respond very well.
Mm-hmm. That'd be
If Eminem goes first, Conor's gonna be extra amped to respond. So I guess either way, it's in Conor's favor.
Hell of a matchup there. Hell of a matchup.
All right, moving on to other. Oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say. Speaking, sort of relating to this news, we had Nate come on Ariel Helwani's show, saying, kind of being classic Nate Diaz, saying he wants to fight, and he wants to fight Charles or Dustin at 170. Doesn't make sense. It makes zero sense. But if I'm Charles Oliveira, I take that fight because I'm going to be left in the Charles is going to be left in the dust if Dustin and Conor are going to do the trilogy. I guarantee you they're probably going to match Chandler and Gaethje up. Yeah. Then both those winners are going to fight. Like I know Charles posted he doesn't want to fight with Nate. He wants to wait for the belt. But I honestly think he should take that opportunity.
No, I see what you're saying. The thing, Nate in general is just like, oh, I'm the most active fighter I know. Shut the fuck up. No, you're not.
He's a lot of hot air. Although I do feel like at this, he is.
Listen to him.
I wonder to what degree he's consciously playing a character at this point with his public. Because from a lot of what people say, like behind the scenes, he's like the Diaz brothers. People say are like the sweetest two guys you'll ever meet. Like they're the guys that'll like help their neighbor bring their groceries into their house, like walk an old lady across the street, from what I hear. So I wonder to what extent he is playing a character, and I do think that he is much smarter than he lets on. So he makes some very interesting moves. He is very good at keeping his name in the spotlight, despite his kind of lackluster record and just inactivity and general kind of spottiness. To go back to the Oliveira fight, question for you fellas: how do you think who do you think stands better on the ground there? Because Nate Diaz has phenomenal jiu-jitsu.
Oliveira.
You think you think it's that easy?
Charles is
I don't
high
know.
level BJJ, bro.
So is Diaz.
Diaz is high level BJJ for 2010 MMA, not for 2020 MMA. He's average for 2020 MMA, but yes, he used to be amazing because everyone used to suck.
I
feel like you're still kind of like you're not giving him enough credit. I mean, the guy's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
He's very, very good.
He's long too. He's
trained under the great
Oliveira is getting Kevin Lee. Look, I'm not saying Diaz and the Diaz brothers are bad on the ground by any means. I just don't see them dominating Oliveira on the ground. I don't see them submitting him. I guess I mean, I can't.
I think it's more competitive than
Oliveira.
Why would I even ask your opinion on an older fighter? Why would I even ask your opinion? I know what you're going to say.
Older fighter. Oliveira is an older fighter. No. I think. Look, I'm not saying that Oliveira will sub him. I was saying Oliveira doesn't get subbed.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's either competitive or Oliveira wins. I don't see Nate beating Oliveira on the ground.
Okay. Yeah,
okay, that's fair.
Mm-hmm. That's probably Oliveira ought to just take it. I mean, Nate's just such a fucking.
I mean, why not make some money?
People will watch him. You know.
Keep your name in the mix, and then
to me as to why people will watch him at this point still.
Yeah, it's all about really the gas tank. If Oliveira has a gas tank, he can do it. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
Yep. And it gives Oliveira a good chance to talk some shit in the media and really get his name out there.
Well, from some weird matchmaking onto some honestly just legendary matchmaking. We have Rumble Romero in Bellator officially booked. April 16th, I believe. Rumble Johnson, Romero at 205. It is just bombs away, boys.
Oh, yeah. Way to step it up.
They could have had this fight in the UFC, theoretically.
They both were for UFC fighters like 2 months ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And, I know everyone's got a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth from his last from his last showing, but
Rumble
just before that, his last showing was with Paulo Costa, who it was pretty goddamn close. If it was a 5-round fight, Romero would have won that fight.
So Romero needs someone who's going to bring it to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the Whitaker fight, it was kind of weird because Whitaker half brought it to him. Adesanya did not bring it to him. Costa did. Mm-hmm. So I think Romero is going to bring it to him. It's going to be bombs away. However, if Rumble starts to be a bit more hesitant, it could be a very boring fight. You never know.
Mm. God, that would suck for Bellator. They released their whole list of matchmaking for their
for the tournament
for their tournament that they're gonna do.
Yeah, so
we've got pull that up and see exactly how that looks.
So Corey Anderson is fighting some guy I don't know, some European dude. Corey, we have what's his name?
Okay, I've got the full
list.
I think we have Ryan Bader against Lyoto Machida.
Yeah, Ryan Bader, Lyoto Machida, which would be cool.
And the winner faces the winner of Corey Anderson against the European dude. And then the winner of Rumble Romero is going to face the winner of Vadim Nemkov against what's his name?
Bill Davis,
yeah.
And then Johnson Romero. That's a stacked tournament. I'm gonna watch every single fight in there.
It's gonna be fun.
Bellator is putting together some good fights.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun, and I like the marketing. The marketing it as a tournament and putting out a proper bracket does kind of get my excitement up. It's who doesn't love a good tournament of power? Yeah. So super excited to see who the top Bellator light heavyweights is going to come out of this. This is most excited I've been about Bellator in my first reasonable memory. So this is fun. This is exciting.
This is great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Speaking of matchmaking, we had some amazing matchmaking unfortunately fall apart this past week Once again,
Ooh.
it is a new Tony Khabib. Khamzat Chimaev, Leon Edwards has been canceled for a third time, unfortunately.
Why are they going to keep doing this to us?
To be fair, so Khamzat
God.
got
And of
COVID.
course, I mean the MMA gods. Why do they keep fucking doing this shit to us?
So Khamzat got COVID, as we know, back in November, December. Started to recover, was hoping to come back for January, was not ready to train in time, was supposed to come back to training this month. And unfortunately, apparently, while training, after just one round, was just done. Was so done, they actually had to take him to the hospital. They were worried about him, Mick. He was like, he couldn't catch his breath at all. His lungs are still, and then he went to the hospital. They diagnosed him with bronchitis. They gave him some more antibiotics, but he's still dealing with a lot of lung damage as a result of his COVID-19 experience. So who knows how much longer it'll be until he is okay. I actually I haven't had a chance to yet, but I'd like to listen to Cody Garbrandt's new episode on Joe Rogan, because Cody also had a long bout with COVID. So I'd like to hear maybe from him how he dealt with it. Maybe we can have some sort of knowledge about Khamzat, but of course, as we know, everyone deals with this kind of illness differently. Everyone gets different levels of it, different degrees of it, different strains of it, all these different kind of things. We don't really know. Who knows when Khamzat's back? However, for Leon Edwards, who has not fought in over 2 years now, he was supposed to fight Woodley last March. Gilbert Burns took that fight. He needs a fight, and so he is adamant about staying on this card, keeping this fight date, and the UFC is rewarding him for taking this fight. And they're hoping to give him Colby Covington, which makes sense to me because they have not been able to close that Masvidal Covington fight they've been trying for months and months and months. Fuck Masvidal. Masvidal's running away, in my opinion. I can't say that for sure. I think he's running away. Colby, Leon,
I could take or leave him in either case. So
Colby, Leon, let's do it.
It's a great fight. Hopefully it comes to fruition, but and it makes sense. It's not you're not matching Leon up against some guy that's extremely low ranked. I mean, obviously Khamzat shows potential, but it keeps things moving. Exactly.
Tough fight, very tough fight for Edwards. That Colby is he's an animal. He's he's one of the closest to beating Usman. So that's a real tough one for Edwards if they if that's kind of the match that they end up going with. Fortunately, I imagine that through his training camp for Khamzat, he's obviously been training on a very well-rounded variety of both the wrestling and the striking, which is exactly what he needs to prepare for with Colby. So I don't know if he's going to have to make any major adjustments in his training, but definitely a big step up in competition, 100%.
I like this fight, though, for Leon, because, of course, it sets him up really, really well. Adam, what were you going to say? Sorry?
I was going to say, out of curiosity, when is this? Do you know what the date is?
March 20th, I believe. So it's just about 1 month away. Maybe it's March 13th, actually.
If the Kobe fight doesn't come to fruition, I have a small feeling, depending on how long his medical suspension is, I mean, to be frank, he should take the time off. But Gilbert in the press conference was like, I'm ready to fight.
I don't like it. I don't want it. I really hope they don't.
I don't like it, and I don't want it.
3 weeks after getting knocked out, they can't do it. They won't do that. He can't even train. He can't train, can't weight cut in 3 weeks. Fuck that. No way.
Listen, there's what he said.
Furious if they do that.
His emotions were high, and then there's what he'll say once he's
4 weeks. 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I would be furious if they set him up for this. They're ruining his
career.
No,
I would be too. Just out of curiosity,
I wouldn't even
putting it in there.
I wouldn't even say it as a possibility.
I wouldn't even breathe it. Don't even bring it into the atmosphere.
No, that's not happening. It's simply not happening.
Yeah.
And he's Burns is going to be off. He's going to have a medical suspension for a while.
So what do you think I was going to say?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Michael Chiesa.
Oh, that's
because
a good
Chiesa
fight
just
too.
won, right? He just fought, but he's on his way up, and he does kind of deserve it. I just think that Leon won't take it because it's giving Chiesa a chance. It's not giving Leon a chance against Chiesa. It's giving more Chiesa a chance against Leon. One thing I will say that's kind of interesting, Dana White might have kind of painted himself into a corner here. So we know that Dana's new strat whenever he can't get a fight booked is, Porier doesn't want to fight Tony.
Yeah.
Well, you can't quite do that with your self-branded BMF. if Masvidal is giving you issues and you can't get him to take the right amount, you can't be like, oh, he doesn't want to fight Colby, because then all that marketing that you put into him of he's a baddest motherfucker who will take on anyone, anytime, anywhere is all gone. So he can't do that, and he's kind of screwed now. He can't use his usual BS kind of public talking down of someone or public defamation strategy he usually does against Masvidal, which is really funny, and that makes me happy. Even though I'm not a huge fan of Masvidal. I don't dislike him. I think he's a bit overrated.
I dislike him. I don't like him. He is a loudmouth shit talker who cannot handle when someone throws it back in his face. That's all I got to say about that.
Okay.
By the way, speaking of things blowing up in Dana's face,
Cash me outside. How
did you
about
hear that fucking lie that he told about the streamers?
Which one?
They keep asking him. They keep bringing it up because it's hilarious. Pardon?
What did he say?
Everything on my end just froze.
What lie did he say? What did he say?
I don't think he hears us.
All right. Well.
No, I hear you. We're back, boys.
What did he say specifically?
Error right there. He said about this. He said they asked him like, "Oh, so what did you do? Did you catch any more streamers tonight, Dana?" And he fucking gets all excited and like he's clearly lying. He's fucking so obviously lying. I don't know who he's trying to fool here. He's like, actually the funny thing is, we were gonna go after a streamer, and they didn't stream tonight. Like, Dana, shut the fuck up. Name the streamer? Huh?
No,
why don't you name them?
He's talking about his cousin who screen shares from Zoom when he buys pay-per-view to the rest of the family.
God, Dana would make his family buy the fucking pay-per-view. He's fucking lying, and I love that they keep asking him about it. The problem is he keeps looking like he's so confident and so cocky when really he should be looking like a fucking deer in headlights because he said some stupid shit a few weeks ago, and now he keeps having to he keeps digging himself deeper into that hole, and it's so embarrassing and it's so cringy to watch him so obviously like not know what he's talking about and like pretending like the streamers are like scared, like they're terrified of him. They're probably not even, first off, they're probably not even in the States. So Dana's gonna have a hell of a time fucking doing anything to them legally. The worst that's gonna happen is someone's gonna get a strongly worded email that they can quite easily ignore. It's so embarrassing, and I'm so happy that the media is still like on him about this. And I hope that it becomes a trend all year. I want to hear someone ask, at least one person ask him every time, so that Dana keeps making himself look like a fucking jerk off.
All right, last couple of things. Dana also said that he is looking at putting John Jones as the next heavyweight contender against the winner of Stipe and against Francis Ngannou. Honestly, I don't hate it. I do look at.
Didn't we know this though?
I mean, not officially. I did look. I thought that a Jones kind of debuting against a Volkov or an Overeem or someone that we know is kind of good and steady and like a good intro to the division would make sense. I think Blades definitely deserves a shot, but it's really hard to justify that against Ngannou, who he's lost to twice already. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of I don't hate it for Jones. I kind of feel bad for Blades. I mean, there's a lot of guys at the top now, but it does make sense. John Jones, if anyone deserves to get an immediate title shot at heavyweight, it is John Jones.
Yeah. If you're going to give Izzy the title shot at light heavyweight, it doesn't make sense to not give Jones at least a similar.
It just sucks.
Ish.
It's just sad to me that he gave up his light heavyweight belt and didn't go up to heavyweight. Like he should have gone. He should go up to heavyweight as become a champ, and then giving up his light heavyweight instead of holding on to it for another or giving it up for a year first. But regardless, I'm excited to see the fight. I think it'll be a great fight. Regardless against who it is. Yeah. What was that sound? I don't know. Cat.
Yeah, that'll be lots of fun. Jones is looking fucking yoked lately.
Juice to the get what? I mean, strong, not Juicy J.
Ooh, yeah.
Juicy Jones.
That's a good acronym in there. He's a big juice box. But still waiting for that day. Still kind of don't believe that it's even happening. But to be fair, I still don't even really believe that Izzy's getting in there against Jan. I won't believe it until I see him walk in there and the fight starts.
In 3 weeks. 3 weeks, guys. 3 weeks until we have Izzy Jan, Nunes Anderson, and Aljo Jan. That's insane.
That's a treat. We're getting treated this year. We're getting wined and dined this year.
Boys, the month of March is one of the best MMA months I've seen in a long, long time.
March Madness.
March 2021. Get hype. March Madness indeed.
Mm-hmm. Except you spelled March with 2 M's and then the Madness with 2 M's as well. And then it's a nice little stylistic thing. I probably shouldn't have said that actually because we could trademark that.
MMA Arch. MMA Arch. Yeah.
MMA March.
MM March. MM Madness.
Yeah, that makes much more sense.
MM March. MM Madness.
It's a fucking tongue twister.
Let's stop talking because we're definitely not sounding.
Because someone's definitely going to steal our idea.
Exactly. We want to save this, so let's not. Maybe you should edit this out.
Maybe. Dana stole UFC. So it's not.
He partnered with them, but yeah. They also have, surprisingly, so Cody Garbrandt is calling out Jose Aldo, and they're looking at doing Uriah Faber against TJ Dillashaw. To be honest, I really like the TJ Aldo fight better than either of these matchups. I don't hate Faber TJ, but I don't think that it gives a really good, accurate representation about who TJ really is if he beats Faber. Whereas if he can beat a Jose Aldo, coming off those wins and losses,
Faber's still good, Faber's still a tough
fight. But there's more questions about there's questions about where Faber is. I think we know where Aldo is for the most part.
That being said, I would love to see Faber come out and just submit TJ right off the bat and just finish his career and just close it there.
Shut him down. Damn.
It's a fight that probably doesn't make sense at this time, but I'm not against it. I did want to see it back when it was being built up. So if we're gonna get it eventually, now's not too bad of a time.
That's true. I do want to wrap this up because I do have to get going in a minute, but let's quickly review next week if you guys like.
Yeah, sure. What do we got?
We got a main event of Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, is back against Curtis Blades.
There he is.
Honestly, if Curtis wins this, Curtis deserves a title shot, even over Jones, but he's not going to get it, of course. Mm-hmm. But this is the chance to see Derek Lewis with his just get up technique. Just get up against Curtis. We'll see what happens.
That'll be very interesting. Very interesting. Wrestler versus anti-wrestler.
We also have Phil Farrell Hawes.
Hell yes.
Nasruddin Imamov.
That's our boy.
So hopefully Phil Farrell Hawes is another Farrell Hawes. Oinking through everyone else.
We got Alexei Olenek.
Back. Chris Dawkins. Chris Dawkins is a good. He has good fast hands. He's a big, strong, heavyweight, young guy. Good boxing, but I don't think he's going to be able to hold up against the grimy, really grindy wrestling of Olenek. So I favor Olenek, even though I think Dawkins is actually the favorite in this fight. It'll be interesting to see if Dawkins can catch him on the feet or not. Mm-hmm. Charles Rosa is making an appearance. We have Ketlin Vieira. She's a really, really fun fighter to watch. Yana Kunitskaya is actually the girlfriend of one Thiago Santos. They both met while both in the UFC.
Didn't know that.
They met at the UFC PI, and started going out. So they're going out. I think it might be getting married actually. But regardless, they're a thing. So hopefully she's absorbed some of that power. He's taught her how to throw those power hands, and she can hand it to Ketlin Vieira because Ketlin has some power and she can knock someone out too. Ketlin's a power puncher for the women's bantamweight division. Not that it's saying very much, but still. We do have a decent card next week. It's really nothing.
Good
special.
Prelim fights as well. We got Tom Aspinall coming back against Arlovsky, which will be good. We got
Eddie Wineman coming back.
Yeah, we got Bob Ross on there.
Bob Ross against Drakkar Klose. That's a really good fight. I'm shocked it's buried deep in the prelims. That should be bigger. Jamal Emmers against Chas Skelly is also a really good fight. Chas Skelly is a very, very hyped up prospect from what I remember. Sergey Spivak at heavyweight. We have some good fighters. We have no real name value in this card, to be honest. But we have some guys who are looking to make up a future.
Yeah,
plus Andrei Arlovski.
it'll be fun. It'll be a fun one for sure. Some
And of
very
course
good
we
fights
have
in there.
And we have some amazing fights next week. So stay tuned or the week after rather. We have Jairzinho against Cyril Gane, and we have Nikita Krylov against Magomed Ankalaev. So those are both really good fights that will happen on February 27th. So we'll be talking about that next week.
Good shit to come.
Good
Excited.
shit.
Sounds good.
Anyways, that just about wraps up our show for today. We hope you guys enjoyed the event last night. I hope you guys enjoyed our show today. If you did, please don't forget to drop us a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And other than that, for Noah, for Adam, I am Rowie. We will see you guys next Sunday.